Luka Doncic 2.0 has entered the chat. I'm not going to go through every piece of this article, but I did want to show you more than anything else, just some of the photos, what Luka looks like. This is my photo. This is my thumbnail that I have for the show today. Luka looks phenomenal. That's it. That's all I could tell you. He looks phenomenal. He looks like a he looks like if there's ever going to be Luka Doncic, who's 26 years old, and he's walking into, I think now, this is his 8th year in the NBA. I think it's going to be his 8th year in the NBA. You want to absolutely maximize. You see some of these players in the league. There's a difference between certain players in the NBA. I think really you could say this about anybody in any business. There's certain, hear the difference with some people. Some people are just wildly talented, and then there's other people that are just, they will outwork you no matter what it is that you do. They're going to find a way to outwork you, and that's how they win at the end. And then you got very, 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 very few people that have both of those. Very few people that are wildly talented, plus they're going to outwork you. And I think right now for Luka, he's at a kind of interesting stage in his career. I know that last season, whatever the hell happened, he didn't think he was going to get traded from the Dallas Mavericks to the Los Angeles Lakers. But if you look at Luka now, I think the biggest question is, Luka, how committed are you to getting your body in the absolute best shape possible so you could be the best player in the world? I mean, even right now with Luka, and I, to be honest with you, I wasn't crazy with some of these stats, but when people would say, well, I mean, if Luka's overweight, but he's still dropping 30, 10, and 10 on you, I wish I was 15, 20 pounds overweight. It's like, yeah, I get that. I understand. Nobody's saying Luka's not a top 5 player in the league. I think what people were trying to say was, well, what the hell would happen if Luka's actually in tip-top shape? What if fourth quarter rolls around and Luka's not breathing hard or whatever the case is? And I know that's, obviously for most NBA players, okay, I get it. If you're playing 30 minutes a game, obviously towards the end of the game, you're going to be tired. You got the famous quote from JJ Redick right after the season ended. He said that we got to get into championship shape. Michael and I were joking about this on Friday. Do you think when he said championship shape, he was talking about Jackson Hayes? Do you think when he was championship shape, he was talking about Dalton Connect? Do you think he was talking about Rui? No, he was talking about Luka. And what I see so far, and this is one of the quotes here from Luka, just visually, I would say my whole body looks better. Let me go to a couple more of these. There were some better shots of him. When I came to the NBA, I was 18. Honestly, I didn't know what to expect those first 4 or 5 years. He goes on to talk about how it's really tough for him once the season starts. Once the season starts, you're in these hotel rooms and the type of food that you're eating. I would say there were excuses on there because I'm watching LeBron. I'm watching, for those who grew up watching Kobe, or for those who grew up watching some of these NBA players, these athletes where you're like, Jesus Lord, does this guy have any percentage body fat? I'm seeing other NBA players not allowing their body to obviously be a detriment. And here's Luka right now. Luka right now looks like somebody that is looks like somebody that maybe is taking the situation and the position and what's kind of happened, what's transpired over the last 6 months. I think July 1st will be 6 months since he was traded. And he looks like he's saying to himself, all right, if I'm going to be the player that I need to be, the expectations that are going to come in LA and being a Los Angeles Laker, then one of the things that can't happen is people questioning what Luka looks like. So there are a couple of the photos, like I mentioned. Let's see if we got a couple more in here. Here's a couple more of Luka. There's a couple more right here. So obviously, men's health, Luka. It's a great quote here too. Not everything is jumping high. I think I'm very athletic and other stuff, balancing, controlling my body, what I do when I stop, slowing down. He's brilliant at that stuff. I mean, he's really almost in a sense he's brought a different speed to the NBA. And I'm not telling you that he created it, but what I'm telling you is the ability he has to get his body in perfect position, to be able to kind of get guys that are on his shoulder, give himself a little bit of space, a little bit of a step back when he needs to, getting to the basket instead of going faster, going slower. All these things are great things for Luka. But I think it's safe to say nobody would question this. Luka's weight is too much. Way too much for the Los Angeles Lakers, way too much for the Dallas Mavericks. And you know what? Yes, he did get to the NBA Finals. Nobody's saying that he's not a brilliant player, but don't you feel like there's more to Luka's game? And is there a way for him to unlock it? It's just a phenomenal story. It was a great article. And again, there it is. Luka, men's health. Luka muscles up, skinny on the Lakers star summer shred. He looks phenomenal. He looks great. And hopefully this just kind of becomes the new theme for Luka, that we have less conversations around Luka Doncic and what his body looks like, and more conversations about Luka looking like an MVP, and that closing out games, and however great Luka has been so far in his career, that's just one chapter of his career, but he's got a whole nother chapter coming that's obviously going to be with the purple and gold. So pretty cool article. Pretty cool to see Luka all cut up the way he is. And, what kind of happens from here, I think, is going to be, everyone can just assume a number of different things, but Luka looks phenomenal. So there were a couple things from the weekend, and I'm going to look at, some of your comments here in just a second. But the men's health interview that I saw this morning, what I was really kind of prepared to talk about is he was about to start, and he already started. I think yesterday he started his Jordan brand tour in New York. Luka Doncic is scheduled to be in Los Angeles just one day after becoming eligible to sign an extension. Luka had put something up, I want to say on Instagram, and I think it just said something about New York, Chicago, LA. Basically, he's coming to come visit all three of these places. Luka will be in Los Angeles on August 3rd for a Jordan brand promotional tour, which is one day after he becomes eligible to sign a contract extension with the Los Angeles Lakers. So Luka's definitely going into a little bit of a business tour right now, promoting the Jordan brand, promoting himself. He looks phenomenal. So obviously, all of this just looks great. And then August 2nd is going to roll around. And I think, we've had this conversation before. The worst kept secret probably in the NBA right now, if 60 days ago, Laker fans or even the Lakers front office was saying to themselves, I'm not 100% sure what Luka's going to do. I don't think anybody feels that way now. And you're talking about the best of the best in the business, Ramona Shelburne, Dave McMenamin, Brian Windhorst, Shams Charania. Everybody feels like they all kind of have the same theme here. It's like, yeah, Luka's going to sign with the Lakers. And maybe the only question is going to be, is it going to be 3 years or is it going to be 4 years? But as Luka does his little business tour right now, and maybe in Los Angeles when he's here August 3rd for the Jordan brand, that promotional tour, maybe there's some kind of collaboration there where all of a sudden also Luka signs that extension, and that's part of his branding tour. And Luka can kind of turn the page on where he's going to be for the next couple of years, and they can go from there. I will say this, and I want to kind of add this piece in. I do think for Luka, this is I've heard people say this. I've heard the conversation, or I've seen in some of the chats that comments, and when I'm done doing a show and we're talking about Luka. I will say this: I do genuinely believe him and the Lakers is as good of a combination as you can get right now in the league. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. I think for Luka, it makes a whole ton of sense for him to sign a long-term deal with the Lakers. I think for Luka, if he can get himself in the proper shape and, be an MVP caliber player, it's going to take his stake in the game, and it's going to take his notoriety, and it's going to take his legendary status that he hopes to become. It's going to take it to another level. So I do feel like this business tour that he's on, I think it is good for business. I think, yes, the marketing, the advertising, I think all that stuff's going to be great for Luka. All good. I mean, that's synonymous with being in LA. It's synonymous with being with the Laker brand. At the end of the day, this is how he's going to be judged. Did you win for the Lakers or did you not? And I think his position, why this is so interesting for me, business decisions, that's all going to take care of itself. I don't think anybody's worried about that. But I think what's going to be interesting to me is to see just how committed Luka is, to see just how strategic the Lakers are in their next chapter with Luka. Because I'm not telling you that winning a championship for any other city isn't, obviously Shea Gilgeous just winning one in Oklahoma City. He's a legend in his own right because he just won one. Jokic obviously having one in Denver, and Giannis having one in Milwaukee. I'm not taking anything away from any of those teams and the cities and any of that stuff. But what I am telling you is it's just different with the Lakers brand. It just is. That's just how monster of a brand the Lakers brand is. And they got a ways to go until I think they're truly, truly competing for an NBA championship. But if August 2nd rolls around or August 3rd, he does his promotional tour. He's got this thing going on with Men's Health. Everything seems like it's being pointed in the right direction. But sign that extension once it comes. And then honestly, then the pressure kind of starts falling back on the Lakers to do their part and to make sure that they're surrounding him with the right players. And there's going to be pressure on that organization. Yes, there'll be pressure on Luka, but it's kind of one of those where if Luka does his part, I don't know how much people are going to be bitching and complaining about Luka. I think they're also going to be bitching and complaining about the front office and making sure that he's in a good position. So want to start off the show with that piece. Luka looks like he's in phenomenal shape. Men's Health interview, starting his promotional tour in New York, in Chicago, and then we'll end in LA. And then we'll see by the time we get to maybe a week from now, has Luka signed that extension? And then is he off and playing in the Eurobasket, getting a chance to represent his country from there? All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here. What are people saying? Other than people are probably saying, Slee, are you gonna stop talking anytime soon, or are you just gonna keep yapping? You're gonna keep yapping there? Eurobasket tournament right around the corner. That's going to be fun. I was talking to Trevor Lane. Trevor's my guy, right? Trevor and I have known each other for a while, and him and I were talking last week, and we're like, you know what? It's going to actually be kind of cool to be able to mix in a little Eurobasket. You got some great players that are going to be a part of Eurobasket, including Luka. So we'll get a chance to kind of watch some of those games, and I'm sure we'll be reacting to it. Why wouldn't we? We're watching some of the best basketball in the world. And one of those guys represent the Lakers. Thank you very much for watching the clip. Just want to give a shout out here to one of our partners, the Wallace Firm. They are official injury attorney of the Sliwa Show and Hoops Talk, the entire channel. If you are ever in a need, and I hope you're not, but some type of serious injury with yourself or a family member of yours, I would like to personally help you by introducing you to the best in the business, Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Also got a URL out here that you can use as well. Just go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Thank you for their partnership, and thank you for being a part of the Sliwa Show.